Hi guys, it's Grace with Grace Gets Gastric, and I'm here today for another video in my plastics series. And this is a video a couple people asked me about, which was questions to ask your surgeon. So obviously this is not going to be a comprehensive video because I'm sure I will forget some questions. Everybody has a slightly different and unique situation, but seeing as how I did go through plastic surgery, and I did obviously have questions for my surgeon that I asked about all kinds of things, and a few of you asked and were curious what I had asked, I thought I would get into it. So I'm not going to go over kind of the answers that I got, because again, that is going to completely vary based on what you're getting, where you're going, what your surgeon says, but I figured I would just kind of go into a couple of the questions. Some of these actually don't even apply to me necessarily, but they're questions you might ask if they apply to you. So just sort of getting ideas going. Of course, if any of you guys have other suggestions on questions that you think should be asked, please do leave them in the comment section down below for people to see. Like I said, I am certain that I have not covered everything here. I'm positive that I've even forgot questions that I asked, because I asked questions sort of throughout the process, you know, before I even had the surgery, and I'm still asking questions in aftercare. So, yeah, your mileage may vary, but I thought I would get started. So I kind of divided them into categories, which were sort of pre-op, post-op care, and then like, how long should I wait until ... So the first section is kind of pre-op info. So the biggest question is, you know, what surgeries would you recommend? So depending on what you know, how your pre-op process goes, generally speaking, I would say you probably have done some research and have an idea of what you think that you want, but it's always a good idea to get an opinion from the surgeon about what they think is best for you. For example, I thought that I would probably want, I thought maybe I'd want a 360-degree lower body lift, but in meeting with my surgeon, he was saying actually where your loose skin is your upper back. You don't really have, I didn't have a lot of loose skin on my lower back. The 360 lift on the bottom really would not have done anything. I didn't really need it, and it wouldn't have addressed my biggest concern. So he actually recommended doing an upper back lift, and he said, you know, he could have done both if he thought I'd need it, but he was like, you don't need it. So go in there with an idea of what you want so that you can kind of make sure you have your priorities straight, know what you are most concerned about and what you most want to address, but be open to hearing their suggestions and kind of hearing about why. Once you kind of have your surgery, obviously, you know, figuring out the price, the dates, all of that stuff, you would probably want to ask the length of surgery, asking about their anesthesia, how they do that, depending on where you go. There are different types. You'll want to ask about the closure method, stitches. Are there different types? How are they being removed? Again, this will also vary depending on if you're doing medical tourism or if you're traveling for your surgery. But are they doing all dissolvable, a mixture of dissolvable and non-dissolvable? If non-dissolvable, when to remove, how to remove? Are they using any kind of staple? You know, you want to make sure you're asking about that. If there's going to be drains, how many, where are those going to be? All of that stuff. Obviously, it's really important that you ask about the recovery time, the period, and how long that they think that you should be taking off of work. That will vary depending on the kind of work that you do and the surgery you're having. And of course, if you qualify for FMLA, you know, asking about the process to get them to fill out the FMLA paperwork. Also, if you are somebody who is interested in having children or in the near or distant future, I would ask about the impact to whatever surgeries you were planning to have on pregnancy and breastfeeding. Based on when you think you might want to get pregnant, they might recommend waiting until afterwards, because a pregnancy will obviously impact breasts and tummy. I'd also make sure you have a clear idea on how what their pain management process is for after the surgery. What will you be on? What is the plan for getting this medication long-term, etc. Or not long-term, but, you know, in the immediate and the mini short-term. It asks them, of course, about their complication, like what kind of complications are possible, what their complication rate is, what is the procedure and process for dealing with common complications or the uncommon complications. And obviously, as part of like choosing your surgeon, you want to make sure you understand what their success rate is. Have they had any deaths? what is the complication rate, and all of that information. You should make sure that you're doing thorough research on your surgeon. And then I'd also ask them about the options for revision or future surgeries. If you are not getting everything done at the time that you, during your first round, if you are thinking you might want a second round, what the process is for getting that done. If you are unhappy with what you come out the other side with, what is the option for revision? And obviously, you want to make sure that you are phrasing things in a respectful way, and this is something that my surgeon was very open with me about, when they are working with massive weight loss patients, our quality of skin is very different, which is why I personally went to a surgeon that specializes in massive weight loss patients. But when they are removing the quantity of skin for example, for me, they removed 15 pounds of skin, and they were removing it from my upper, my mid, and my lower stomach. So in 3 different areas. Their number one concern is mobility, and they want to make sure that you can still move. And so that might mean that they are not as aggressive, because they need to make sure that they aren't overly aggressive. And because they are doing it in so many different ways, that does limit, how much skin they might remove. So there might be places where it's not quite as, tight or as smooth as you would want it, and you might need a revision. That's not uncommon. That is something that you should understand as a possibility. It is not necessarily guaranteed, but the more skin that you have and the more revisions that are necessary, the greater possibility that it's not going to be totally perfect and flat. So just make sure that you are aware of that. If that is a possibility, you discuss that. My surgeon was really open about that fact, and we talked about it. So then we kind of move into the sort of post-op care. So again, if you've asked about the drain, kind of the drain care removal process, if you are going to be going in to have that done, if you need to find a surgeon or a PCP in your area, if you're, going abroad, if you can do it yourself, how that works, the disposal, figuring all of that out. Again, I already talked about the stitches, the type, how to remove, if that is necessary. I asked about numbness. What is the expectation or possibility of numbness? Where might you expect to feel it? If, asking them how long they think it might last. Scar care. So, asking at what point would they recommend moving on, to actually trying to minimize the look, feel, and appearance of the scars, and what do they suggest are the best methods to do that. Additionally, wound care. So if you develop wounds, which when you have full body done, you are very likely to have wounds. Generally, hopefully not large ones, but I hardly know anyone who didn't have any kind of wound at all. And so how they would care for it, the kinds of supplies that you should have on hand to treat it yourself, at what point would they recommend going in and having it looked at by a doctor, and going to a wound care specialist perhaps. So again, beyond just wound care, but any other supplies that they think that you should have on hand, any, anything that they think will be useful and beneficial to have for you while caring for yourself at home. If there's any specific common do's and don'ts that they have for you, these people, if you're working with a competent surgeon, they have probably done this a lot, and they have probably seen it all, and probably have an idea of the common issues and things that they think are really beneficial, and the things that you should make sure you're really absolutely not doing. So if they have any specific things that come to mind on things that you should be doing and things that you should not be doing to ensure the best results. And ask them generally, when you might expect to see kind of your final results. At what point would they say that you have a good idea of kind of what you look like? Swelling can obviously last for a very long time. So, again, that's the how long until section. But at what point would they say okay, you have a good idea of what your new body looks like? And then we have the kind of how long until section. So I would say partially, or swelling. So how long until they would say that swelling goes down. Same thing with scar. When would you expect all of the wounds to be closed? Internal stitching, internal healing, all of that stuff. When can you restart your vitamin regimen? Most surgeons will have you stop certain kinds of vitamins before surgery, if not all of them. So at what point can you start everything? When can you resume drinking caffeine or alcohol? Generally, they will have had you stop both of those as well. At what point can you start driving again? When can you start shaving? Depending on where you have your incisions, shaving might be an issue. So when can you start doing that again? When can you have sex again? Or when can you masturbate if you do not have a sexual partner? But generally there are things happening in that region. So you might want to, if that is a thing that you care about, you might want to ask when you are cleared to open up for business again. Working out. At what point are you cleared to work out? Are there different time periods, for example, like when can you strength train? When can you do like light working out? When are you cleared to do basic household chores? That kind of thing. When can you tan again? If you are someone who likes to either use self-tanner or go into tanning beds or tan outside, the sun can have an impact on the scar lightness, darkness, etc. So you might ask when that is something that you are cleared to do. Again, if you have a family, like when can you not only do household care, but like when child care, pet care, you know, at what point can you, or is it safe to lift certain weights? If you have like a 30-pound child, that is, you know, different lifting that than, you know, doing strength training. So maybe there might be different phases of when you can do those things. Sleep positions. If you are somebody, for example, who is a stomach sleeper like me, you might ask when you are safe to sleep on your stomach again. I had breasts and stomach and all that stuff done. I'm still healing, so you might want to ask when it is okay for you to sleep on your stomach. And then if you have any specific other activities that you like doing that you think might be impacted, ask about it. So when are you cleared to get your medical massages, to do acupuncture? Maybe you are in a choir and you sing. Is that going to be impacted? Maybe if you're in some kind of recreational sports league, bowling, all those kinds of things. If there's any sort of activity that you do that you're not sure about and how that might be impacted, you should ask. So I think those are just a handful of my questions. Like I said, I am sure that I forgot many important ones. The biggest thing is just to do your research. I've talked about this a lot. This is such a big surgery, you guys, and you really want to make sure that this is not just a whim. You want to make sure that you are really researching your doctor, that you are safe, that you are, you know, confident in their skills, that they are going to give you results that you like, because 100%, you know, just like losing the weight is better than not having the skin, or, you know, the skin is better than having the weight, and I would say having the scars is better than the skin. But if you're going through all of this money and time and pain and, you know, committing to this process, you want to make sure that you have results that you're happy with. So that is really important that you do your research, watch a lot of videos, ask questions, go to realself.com. You can find out a lot about plastic surgeons there. And this is just a starting point of some questions. You can also Google, you know, questions to ask plastic surgeons, and you will get all kinds of suggestions. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here and all of your support. I hope you guys are all doing well in this trying time, and I'll talk to you all very soon.